Sorry. Okay. So the only okay now joking around threw me off. Well, well,
You don't think
it was.
yourself. I don't think that these gentlemen necessarily know what education you already have and everything like that.
Well, I was just gonna like some of the stuff I covered on my title slide, right? Title slide. Um, so we already know that I'm decided to study. Um, yeah, I'm a better game for my first round. Well, that's slightly more. Um, that's that might be what it is. So, yeah, I'm getting off on the wrong foot. Let me recenter myself. Um, on Tuesday, Mr. Port already mentioned that presentation is about sustainable marketing. I phrased it marketing sustainability just because that is more clear. Like sustainable marketing, you could hear that and think, oh, that's about marketing um, sustainably,
Tires in a sustainable fashion.
which car tires aren't necessarily a sustainable product.
Right.
But that's kind of getting cart before the horse. But yeah, Donald Clark is actually my legal name. Usually go by Donnie, as I think Donnie fits my personality.
Yeah.
But family likes to call me Donald. Like the it works out. Oh, and then throughout the presentation, why don't you keep in the back of your mind a question how it might be beneficial to know how to market sustainability. All right, and then my reasoning, and then a little bit about myself was behind why I wanted to study marketing sustainability and why I put this presentation together. So solar is great. I'm a big fan of solar. And I was among the guinea pigs. So probably, I think Mr. Ford has mentioned this before in a previous uh, section of class that among the guinea pigs for that I did a project class that was a test run for what is now energy. This class, energy 265. And at that time, I called it I referred to it as solar marketing class. But then I care about solar energy in general. As great as solar is, I have a um, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, they're going to say wider focus, but that's kind of wider focus. Okay, so and the name of the course currently, this is the name of this course currently, might be subject to change, but alternative energy marketing is part of the course name, so that sort of covers renewable energy. Although we've been covering mostly solar specific, and then even going more broad I would like to provide sustainable solutions locally and regionally, and I'm wanting to stay in the area. I know Colby's not wanting to stay local. I've gotten the impression that Connor's wanting to stay local. Don't know about Steven. Probably stay regionally, not locally. Stay within the region. Um, yeah, you're pretty well rooted. Yeah, exactly. Um, so a bit of my credentials is that I have an associate's degree, not from this institution, in drafting and design. But after getting that associate's degree, I studied through the biofuels program while it was still here and got a certificate study in biodiesel production. And so, interested in design, was possibly still am interested in biofuels, but that's a discussion. Biofuels is a discussion for another time. But I really like psychology, which a lot of marketing nowadays, um, there's a lot of psychology involved in marketing nowadays. So my desire for like sustainable design, sustainable solutions, and then um, my enjoyment of psychology, although as I forget who was in the room, I mentioned to Landon, I consider myself an introvert. So, you know, marketing to people directly, one on one, sort of scary, sort of scary. So, but there are market analysts that certain percentage probably are introverts.
Yeah.
So, possibly that that's an avenue for me. I think. And
How much marketing these days, you never even meet the people face to face.
yeah. Uh, any questions about this slide? About will I actually get into the meat and taters of the presentation? Okay, what is sustainability? Do we have a good understanding of what sustainability is? Our our modern definition is, our definition nowadays is very much influenced by document our common future that was uh, published by, uh, I kept saying United States, previous presenting it, but United Nations in 1987. Um, and then um, in the document, it talks about sustainable development is referred to as, or no, not referred to as. I'll just read it word for word. Sustainable development is defined as development that meets the needs of present present generations without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. Pretty, pretty, pretty good if you care about future generations. To okay, well, I want to meet my needs, but I don't want to ruin. I have children in the future, grandchildren. I don't want to ruin things for them. And then the document uses the terms sustainable development, sustainable, and sustainability interchangeably. Any questions? Good. All right. And then who all is familiar with the UN Sustainable Development Goals? Like not the specific goals, but just have heard of them. heard of them. So this list of 17 goals provides a good broad understanding of what sustainability is. Any questions? Probably the UN had any involvement in that. Probably maybe there's some overlap between the movers and the shakers. That
I'm sure there's lots of people involved, but the Paris Climate Change Agreement had specific goals that might have been related to these, but were not leads. I'm sure that they have very, very similar directional goals. Yeah, yeah. I think that these and I think that these were kind of generated with that 1987 report that you're talking about, weren't they?
I forget when, but there are the Millennium Goals
Okay.
from the United Nations that might have been 90s,
Okay.
and this
This is the most updated version of those.
that I'm aware of.
Right.
Because I don't think they've released new goals,
Right.
and there might have been one in between the Millennium Goals and then the Sustainable Development
The
Goals.
one question I have is, do you know if those are listed in any order of priority, or are those just simply 17 of equal importance? Because I mean, I look at it, and obviously, no poverty, that would logically be on the list of almost any list if you're going to try to put it in order of importance. But as you look through those, it's hard for me to see, is there really an order of importance, or it's just we all agree that these are the 17 most important? You know, if there any priority.
My best guess is it might be both. That because like that makes sense for this to be last,
Right.
because it was like this is a goal for achieving the other goals. But
Yeah. Trying to learn anything. Yeah.
so this, if you're familiar with the hierarchy of needs,
Hierarchy.
yeah. So yeah, this isn't. It doesn't look like it
Right.
reflects the heart. Well,
That's the goal of the UN is to try to take their outlook and put it into the whole world. Yeah.
yeah. So both. Yeah. Okay. And then the $100 million question, or adjusted for inflation, the $1 billion question, is why sustainability? Is the sky falling, and should we care? So, and then I have three just random thoughts that I came up with. You know, you've always, I know that I've heard it a bunch. Work smarter, not harder. You know, I think that's a good argument for why sustainability. Financial or increased financial margins, and then probability, which is slang. Who can tell me what probability means?
Talking about.
Yeah, I think more in terms of um, problems for the general public, the population at large, like social issues, or just there are problems that exist in the world, and turning it into an opportunity by trying to solve the problem.
It'd be like if like the government stops subsidizing oil, the gas prices would go up, that would become a problem for the general population. But it would be an opportunity for other citizens
That is an excellent opportunity, or an excellent example, a little more applicable than the one that had Conrad said. I think that the best one that I can think of is we are currently rebuilding from 4 hurricanes that made landfall this one season. Wouldn't you agree that hurricanes are a problem for us? Would it also be an opportunity that when we rebuild, because let's face it, problems lead to being forced to rebuild. That's the opportunity to rebuild in a sustainable way. The problem of increasing fuel prices is the opportunity to provide sustainable fuel sources. The problem of destruction from the Joplin tornado or hurricanes that are, because we've lived non-sustainable lifestyles for long enough now that it's a global impact. That opportunity comes from let's not rebuild where the hurricane's going to flood us next time. And so that's where the opportunity really comes into that.
Mass trading or companies reverse the process to
My two problems that led me to putting that in the slide is I thought about the Joplin tornado and then the current pandemic is what I thought about. And we could get into there was a Greentown Joplin organization that tried to do a sustainable problem, yeah.
Time also to talk about opportunities we need versus the rest of the country, the world, perhaps. We talked about in the previous one, what's different about our area.
Low priority for climate change. Prepositions can be tricky. Which ones are the right ones to use? But anyways, just in general, one of the main reasons that often is given why sustainability relates to climate change and other places, you could leverage the concern about climate change. Not so much around here, but I really like the comic that Mr. Poor has on the wall about the climate summit. Because in my mind, thinking through the list of goals, the sustainable development goals, okay, if climate change doesn't exist, or if it's not human caused, it's still those are good goals to have. So like you can put the climate change debate to the side and be like, those are still good goals. There's an argument that can be made. Well, what are the intentions behind those goals? But that's getting sidetracked. Okay, back to sustainable marketing. So I like internet memes. And if they taught me anything, teachers don't like you using Wikipedia as a source. But I've discussed it with Mr. Poor, and we both agree that Wikipedia is a really good starting point at the very least. And a lot of the pages have a long list of references down at the bottom. And whenever I've needed to inform myself about a new concept, I'll go to Wikipedia, get a basic understanding of it. As not really in depth. But you can go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole and get more in depth about it stuff. But anyway, there is not a Wikipedia page for sustainable marketing. But searching it within Wikipedia, it redirects you to green marketing, which in turn led me to purchasing a book that's called Green Marketing that I've have used some of the information in this slide later slides. But then there is going through the Wikipedia rabbit hole, as I've mentioned, led me to sustainable business, and then all these terms are listed under the category of sustainable business. And if any of these terms of any interest to you, you don't have to memorize them, don't have to write them down. This slideshow will be made available after this. Any questions?
So those are all terms that you think fall under the category of
There were more terms. These ones stuck out to me.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a number of terms that were listed under sustainable business.
So they all fall under that umbrella.
Yeah,
Relating to,
yeah, it would all be sustainable marketing
like
terms that could be either used interchangeably or related. What he's basically saying is if you just search sustainable marketing, you're not going to find as much as he would have liked to have found. You're going to have to use alternative search terms like green marketing, sustainable markets, sustainable business, sustainability advertising, or sustainability brand. Those will probably get more results for you.
if I remember correctly, that you can see also see above references. There's terms that they also see such and such, and I believe sustainable business was under green marketing, and then there is pay where it doesn't have any definitions. It just have lists of terms. So all of these listed, even sustainable business itself was listed under the term sustainable business.
Brand. That's the only term on that really inspired new thought to me. What would that mean to you?
Their identity.
See, you went back to companies instead of brand, and I think there is a distinction there. Anybody else on just brand? Let's use Johnson & Johnson as an example. They're a huge worldwide conglomerate. Would you agree that many of their brands don't say Johnson & Johnson? They might in fine print say it somewhere, but they're going to say something else like Dawn Isham, part of the Johnson & Johnson family. Now, Dawn is constantly being advertised as clean for the environment. He cleaned up the ducts after the oil spill. They can have a brand that they are branding for the purpose of sustainability, and that company doesn't produce just sustainable products. They have a brand that is a sustainability brand for them. They may use a chemical formula that is more environmentally friendly. They may not use any toxins, or they might not use any non-biodegradable materials. The whole company doesn't necessarily need to be sustainable in order for them to have a brand that is being marketed as a sustainability brand. And he's going to talk about a little bit later on how to keep honest, in that aspect of it. Sure. Footprint.
Yeah. And is that kind of the same thing? Like if you have a brand that's not so sustainable, kind of even out of
I am familiar. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I know of major companies that are not considered a sustainable business, but they own subsidiary, one or two, however many subsidiaries that would be considered sustainable.
BP, British Petroleum, not a sustainable company.
It's almost like a mitigation thing. They're like, oh, don't look over here. This is really this is
Like a magic trick.
Any other questions or comments? All right. We're going to get into an idea that is not specific to sustainable marketing. This is just applicable to all marketing. Targeted marketing and market segments, or as it's listed there, target marketing and market segmentation. Same thing. And essentially, it's most cost effective to market to the people that are most likely to buy your product or service. So, market into segments and then concentrating your marketing efforts on one or a few key segments consisting of customers whose needs and desires most closely match your product or service offerings. And then your market segmentations will be broken down by demographics, geography, or psychographic. So we were familiar. Now this one I had to look up. I could basically understand, general idea what psychographic means, but I had to look it up to find out like specific definition. But like in social studies, you probably learn about demographics, and then probably geographics also.
That's an example of an demographic. It's much easier to define. That's what we did last time. It's much easier to define it by giving an example. If we could give an example, how would we define?
Defined by
Parameters. We can break our target, our target audience or our target customers into specific categories. The categories that I like to make in people's brains are homeowners. I mean, how many people are going to buy a solar electric system from you if they rent that house? Virtually none. That's the first demographic that is clear that we as a residential solar marketing company would seek out. Perhaps would be homeowners.
when we went board up, that's always your first question.
Right.
You don't want to waste their time, you don't want to waste your time.
Right.
Right in your mind, okay, bye.
Right. Geographic, it seems pretty simple. Like we only want to market to people that live in what area? What geographic area? In the area that your company is willing to work at. Like is Solar Invictus willing to travel to Southern California to do solar installation? If not, then you really shouldn't market to a target audience in Southern California. That doesn't mean you're not willing to. If they're going to pay you $50,000 for that little bitty solar electric system, you'll drive out there and get the system done. But that's the whole purpose of the target audience. Somewhere right now, a renter has a solar electric system. Why? Because somebody put the effort in to sell that renter a solar electric system. The odds are against it, though. So Donnie has more specific information about some of those demographics.
Yeah, and again, I've touched on there's a very wide perspective that is applicable to solar. Like all the information we're going through is applicable to solar,
Right.
but I'm considering more than the solar industry.
The reason I'm giving you examples is because that's what you are experts in at this point, and I'm an expert in at this point, is the solar industry rather than the shampoo industry or whatever other industries could be sustainably designed marketing.
or so we start getting into lifestyle preferences. And whenever I get specific into, yep, that's my next slide,
Right.
specific into sustainable marketing. Are we familiar with what lifestyle preferences means? I mean, there'll be examples on my next slide. But anybody? Okay, we'll move on. Green consumer segmentation. Okay, so according to the National Marketing Institute, green consumers were, and this is from my green marketing book, is over 10 years old, so it references data from 2009. Now I interrupted myself. Green consumers were, and that's surprisingly high, 83% of the U.S. population. But I'm surprised by that. But this Natural Marketing Institute has an annual report that it produces that they call LOHAS report. Oh,
What does it mean by green
like
Like, is it people that are actively searching out green products?
we get into that on the next slide.
Okay. It just kind of sounds vague, but it's almost kind of.
Yeah, this is just introducing because I can get I can show the difference between 2009 and 2020 because I've got 2020 data on the next slide. But this is the main thing: is LOHAS stands for Lifestyles of Health and Sustainability. So that's lifestyle preferences is get, and then 19%. So really, your best bet, your investment into sustainable marketing is going to be most effective in this 19% versus the 83%. But as far as if you're trying to reach a wider audience and try to get the full 80%, the different strategy, focusing on the 19% or going wider with the 83%. And then I'm not for sure. These are trademark terms. I don't know if it's this institute that did the trademarking or if they are licensing the trademarks from another organization. Any questions before we go to this? I've got have these market segments. Current data on my next slide.
Wait, so are those, is that how, are those things how the green consumers go down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Because right here, unconcerns are 17%. What is 17 plus 8? Yeah.
So 100,
These four categories here are what is consisting of this 83%.
there you go.
Yeah,
Out of
which is
100% of consumers, only 83% of them would be classified as green consumers. And I'm sure that there's a very specified term what they mean. I'm going to guess that term of green consumer means you're either willing to pay more or you're willing to spend time to seek out products that are green. In other words, they're more environmentally friendly. 17% of the people, they're not going to spend one penny more, and they're not going to spend one moment more looking for a green product or buying a green product. Right. 17% of the people said, "I'm not going to give you one penny more for that green energy. Get out of my yard." Okay. Whereas 83% of the people would be interested in at least hearing what you have to say, and those four reasons are their lifestyle choices, are the motivations for them willing to at least listen or potentially be a customer. All right, now let's see how those numbers have changed since 2009.
Yeah. And side note, in the book, it says 5 shades of green, which is whenever I read that, it was deceiving because I would say there's only 4 shades. So this isn't a shade of
Those
green.
guys are colorblind.
All right. Present data, their LOHAS report. So this is 11 years. The LOHAS segment has only gone up by 3%, which is interesting. Is interesting. But we have like descriptors here. This is why, it's able to find this. I've got the website listed right there. So LOHAS, as uses lifestyles of health and sustainability. So personal and planetary health priority. Sustainability is entrenched in lifestyle. Heaviest purchasers of green, early adopters and influencers. Now, given enough time, we might touch on is there's I'm not for certain how they are using early adopters and influencers in this context. If they're meaning the traditional definitions or if they're meaning current marketing definitions of these terms. Yeah. But there's all social media, well, most if not all social media influencers are traditional, or not traditional, but marketing. There's a book I'm currently listening to talks about influencers, and it's not necessarily only social media influencers that it's talking about. Like I'm getting the impression listening to the book that influencers is there's a marketing term for.
So I think what that would be referring to would be people who bought in order to help influence that industry. If Connor's household is putting solar panels on their home, they are buying in order to be an influencer. They hope to be able to influence their neighbors and other people in that direction, would be my view of the influencers.
The books, and this is recently on my brain because I've recently listened to that part of the book, is there is an idea that there's one person, 1 out of 10 people, the other 9 go to for their advice. And so that one person would be considered an influencer because the other 9 people go to that one person for advice.
I would say that the influencers don't always remain the same. We have new influencers that come on, and so your generation, Stu Landon and I here, your guys' generation are just now becoming influencers. It's really hard to be the Greta Thunberg and in 16 years old be a major force. Most of the time, we don't develop our influence over our community, our peers, until we get older in life. And so I think part of the reason we see this LOHAS section increasing and the green consumer section increasing is because more and more of your generation is having a larger and larger influence. And this is tending to be more important to the generations of people that are going to be here longer.
I think the natural lights was the biggest increase.
Okay.
Yeah. Drifters decreased by 5%. So we've got natural lights 15% in 2009 and then 24% in 2020. So natural lights, personal health, drivers. I think that may be a typo. Greater than No. They're using it as a noun. Yeah. Personal health drivers greater than planetary health. And then drifters, green followers, newer to the green marketplace, want to be seen as doing their part in search of easy green changes. And you've got your conventionals, practical and rational, driven by cost savings, eco benefits secondary. And so I think, and this was discussed first go around of the presentation, is that in our area we have high percentage. It seems like, but the book is not really a significant percentage difference for the Midwest. Now there could be more significant difference. My hypothesis is there's more significant difference in these market segments with rural versus urban.
Yes.
I would feel like in our area, the unconcerned and the conventional would probably be the two highest demographics in this area.
When you say this area, how big do you mean? Do you mean like 10 miles from here?
I think I would. My assumption it was originally these two would be high because we're in the Midwest.
Right.
But looking at the data, my hypothesis is because we're in a rural area. That's why these two. And the book, if I remember correctly, it might break it down rural and urban. There's a book, there's a page that break down the demographics for these segments. Any other questions, comments
on here and the differences between the LOHAS and the natural lights? I see this as the differences like myself and my sister. My sister still buys lots of green products. She is a natural light because it is more about her personal or her family's health. My nieces have a lot of allergies, like food allergies out the wazoo. Well, as soon as they discovered the food allergies, then they became worried about dyes. Then they became worried about fragrances. Now they use the soaps that we've told them about. They use the laundry detergents that we told them about. We didn't use them because of those reasons. We use them because of a positive environmental impact. But because of the positive environmental impact means we don't put the dyes, we don't put the perfumes. They also have a personal health benefit. So the whole purpose of marketing is I can sell all four of you a solar electric system, but you are going to buy it for money. You're going to buy it to save the world. You're going to buy it because your grandson showed up to sell it to you, and you're going to buy it because you love solar. We have to be able to reach those different demographics and not waste our time on these unconcerned. No, you're not going to change them.
Yeah, it would be changing for solar, for example, would be changing your presentation based off of which category they're in.
You have a 17-page presentation. There's a page that's dedicated to each of that. You look at the reaction of your customer and you see which one they seem to be appealing to, and then you focus on those aspects.
Yeah, you could probably not going to be. You're probably going to lose money advertising on unconcerns. You can't. There is a way to put together. There is an opportunity to put together marketing. Part of your devoting a certain portion of your marketing strategy to the conventionals.
Yes.
Because of the cost savings associated with solar, renewables,
right.
Other what I would consider sustainable solutions.
Right. Let's look at a broader picture. Donnie's not just talking about energy. He's looking at sustainability as a whole. Let's say we're marketing for a sustainable development. We have a certain number of homes that are all being built that are going to be sustainable. Do you think that we're going to appeal to the conventionalists there whenever this home costs 20% more up front? No. Okay, you're only going to be able to reach those consumers knowing they're going to have to pay more if they have a personal interest in that.
If you find return on investment for for somebody that thinks long term, is it not? So you could get conventional, um, probably a certain percentage of conventionals that could be sold on the return on investment. That yeah, if as you know, there are individual certain percentage of the population that have an issue with instant gratification. So with delayed gratification, then you can probably know where I'm getting at is if you're somebody that can delay gratification, you're thinking long term, you can be convinced, swayed, if you're presented with a good return on investment.
And then also look at this, I feel like my social media influence thing was wrong for the low cost. I think it's because it's such a NBC doing their part. So I think that's too. So I feel like for them, I feel like being seen is one of their main reasons for doing it. Just so almost like a social thing, right?
And so the targeting comes in where, let's say on social media, they have like a vegan post or a vegan site. Okay. Immediately we can target them because we know that mindset likes to be seen. Okay. I mean, you see all those memes like the person walks in and is like, oh, I'm a vegan. You know, they're proud of that. They want people to know that. Okay. Yeah, we make fun of it, but there's some truth behind it. It's the same reason that people put political stickers on their car or, you know, things like that. Is they want that. They want to be for that to be out there.
Because when you drive by, you automatically know what house has solar if it's on the roof compared to like the rest of the neighborhood.
About marketing
Segments, market segments, yeah.
We're on the streets.
But how easy of a green change is
Right. So no money down, no payments for 6 months, and save money by then. That's easy. And show it off. Hey, can we put this sign in your yard? Yes. Can I have two? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily have the the key would be, well, I guess it goes to the ease of algorithms to identify the individuals that fall under the four main categories versus, well, you might be able to get a general idea if you build a rapport with somebody, what segment they fall under. Okay. Anything else? I really need at least my next slide because we're running close by my allotted time. Unless there's still stuff after.
We can go on. I just know we set a time, your goal for an hour. So use your hour as you can. But after that, I understand we've got lots of other questions we can keep talking. It's not like I'm going to count your grade off or something. But no, there's nothing else that these guys have to like go do.
Well, there was other stuff you were wanting to do during this time, though.
After
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not take up the whole class time. Okay. All right. I'm gonna stand back up. This is why I said I wanted at least this slide for how much time I have left. avoiding greenwashing. So there's this definition that I'm pretty sure I took from Wikipedia. Yeah, I'm gonna, okay, need to keep on track. How I define greenwashing is there are whatever a company is offering. It's difficult to be 100% sustainable, but different products, services, whatever, have varying levels of sustainability. That if they're trying, if I don't know, if a company could accidentally make a
materials extraction, resource extraction, distribution, refinement. There's lots of different stages that it's very difficult for one entity to be sustainable at every single stage of that product development. Basically, what you're saying. There's different levels of how sustainable that whole product development and distribution is.
So, in my mind, is if a company claims more sustainability than what actually exists is greenwashing. How it's defined here is greenwashing is considered an unsubstantiated claim to deceive customers into believing that a company's products are environmentally friendly. That is an okay definition. I mean, it's off of Wikipedia, so it's an okay definition.
Would you consider Amazon's like a zero net carbon package to be considered greenwashing? I mean, they're not saying they're doing it right now, but they said by 2040 they're going to be able to deliver a package with zero net carbon.
Without doing some research, any amount of sustainability marketing that Amazon does could be perceived as being greenwashing. And, based off of somebody's perception. But
I think that anything that's claimed about what they're going to do versus it is, what does it say? Unsubstantiated claim.
And this could I know of at least two commercials, at least two commercials from Amazon where they're talking about sustainability. Though they have somebody that's supposedly works for the company and working on sustainability. I've seen those commercials. So I think one of them was what they're going to do. Another one is their delivery vans, their electric delivery vans for, I want to say Amazon Prime. Maybe. No, is Prime all online or is it also? No, I think I do Prime delivery.
Amazon Prime is just like a premium delivery service.
Like the overnight.
But they have at least a pilot project, a pilot run of. As I don't think it was that they were going to, that they would actually had physical electric delivery vans that they were testing out.
Self-driving electric delivery vans. They're
Self-driving already?
Yeah. I don't think that person is driving it. I think that the AI is determining the fastest route to deliver the packages. Take it to the door. Yeah. That's
Possibly the safety precautions also.
correct.
Yeah,
That
like legal
Not anymore. Arizona just changed it. Waymo has 50 drivers now that have no driver in the taxi. So you hit a button, the car pulls up, there's nobody in it. You get in the car, it takes you to the destination, you get out. There's nobody in the car. It's here, guys. It's here. It's happening in Arizona right now.
Well, speaking of self-driving
Yeah.
and somebody that might be doing it better than Waymo.
Yeah.
You can find examples of companies and examples of sustainable marketing that companies are doing. Like you talked about Amazon. I've seen the commercials that try and do sustainable marketing. I like Tesla. Mr. Poor seems to like Tesla. And I just trying to think of, because I have never seen a Tesla commercial.
Have you guys ever seen a Tesla TV commercial? Right. Have you ever seen like one of my last students thought that he'd seen a Tesla YouTube commercial.
I think I have.
You think you have seen it?
Tesla has a YouTube channel.
I wonder, is this like a link, or is it an actual paid advertisement from Tesla? I've never seen a Tesla advertisement.
It might have, I mean, there's like on YouTube, they have like an ad on the front of the thing. And if you're going through videos, like I usually watch all my YouTube videos on my phone, but if you accidentally click that top thing, it'll play the ad. Even though it's just an ad up there.
It's a banner.
Yeah, it's a banner, it's an ad. And
Okay.
it's like a video. It's like an ad and it's just by YouTube. But like if you accidentally click on it, it just plays like a normal YouTube video, but it's an ad.
Okay.
Yeah. I've only ever seen Tesla YouTube channel, and there are Tesla YouTubers, like owners of Teslas that have a YouTube channel, and their content is primarily about Tesla. And by law, you have to disclose if
You're a stockholder, an investor, and everything.
well, if you're being paid to promote. I think by law you have to disclose that you're being paid to promote, to advertise.
It's the reason that you see like a TV commercial, it says participants were not compensated or something like that. If you paid this Dairy Queen customer to give you their feedback, then that by law would be unethical to not let the viewer know that, hey, we paid Connor to say this ice cream is good, rather than we just caught Connor when he was leaving Dairy Queen, stuck a microphone in his face and said, hey, how great is the ice cream? You know, that's the difference in a paid advertiser or a word of mouth versus,
Yeah. So this document right here, just searching around because I was interested in if there was any analysis of Tesla's marketing strategy, because I know that I've never seen a commercial from them, and that there are, why I know there are Tesla YouTubers is there's Tesla YouTubers that I watch. And I've heard them say they don't pay for traditional marketing, which, yeah, it's word of mouth, can be considered traditional.
Yeah.
So the document talks about social media marketing and word of mouth marketing. Do we have to go into depth on what those mean? Or we're clear? But okay. So next two slides. The next slide is I cover some information about social media marketing, and the one after that I have a slide about word of mouth marketing. So okay, let's go for it. There's no. I could have ended it there, or ended at word of mouth. So all of social media marketing is online. Not all online marketing is social media marketing. So online / social media marketing, similar marketing strategy, from my understanding. So big thing to consider with online and social media marketing is maintaining relevance and attention in the information age. Why would it be difficult to maintain relevance and attention in the information age?
Because everyone's about instant gratification. And it's so easy to like switch from Instagram.
Possibly, but I would say more so the amount of content now versus how much content there used to be, how much information exists now. There has been an exponential growth in information. Yes, yes, there's more people creating content, more companies creating content, just more information out there. And yes, which shiny objects can correlate to the point that Connor made. So, advantages, disadvantages of online/social media marketing. Advantages: increased brand awareness, better customer satisfaction, cost effectiveness, increased inbound traffic. We who knows what inbound traffic means?
Doesn't have to be to your page
Or just
Just coming to you.
that you have contact with. Right.
Now there is a term I heard about that's inbound marketing that would be related to increased inbound traffic. But then first go around, Mr. Porter mentioned, well, if there's inbound marketing, there's got to be outbound marketing as well. So, and then gain market insight. Oh,
Well, with the outbound, let's just like, so there's so many influencers, which are these people that have millions of followers, and literally their whole job is to just post stuff on social media about these products that basically companies pay them to just take pictures of their product and say, hey, this is that. And I mean, people are making tons of money and they literally just take pictures of products. So would that be the outbound? Would be the company going to that influencer, and then the inbound would be all the new people coming from that.
So what you're saying is if Sol Invictus contacted the influencer, paid the influencer to advertise Sol Invictus. Now Sol Invictus's website is getting lots of inbound traffic.
Yeah.
Let's say that the influencer didn't list the website. They just said, hey, look at my new solar electric system. And in the sign, there was a sign in your yard that had your Sol Invictus and phone number. Now, you may get a little bit of inbound traffic on your website from people found it, but a lot of people are just going to call that number. And then you get inbound traffic through your telephone. Maybe some people that are like, Sol Invictus, their office is just down the street from my house. I'm going to stop in and see what they do. And now you would have physical inbound foot traffic.
Outbound, though, would be us going to that influencer. Since
No, outbound would be you are calling a telemarketer. Outbound is reaching out to your market. Okay, your marketing strategy was to hire an outside source to market for you. They chose online as theirs. So their inbound traffic, they turned into your inbound traffic. Their outbound marketing was them posting on their social media site or their YouTube channel. That was their outbound marketing. Yeah, door knocking would be definitely outbound marketing. Yeah.
Just talk about like a lot about the difference between in and outbound marketing.
I think that's where that's the book that I
it
found.
looks familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Disadvantages: exposure to competitors, needs qualified personnel. So for it can be complicated, or it is complicated.
We'll talk about each one of those.
Yeah.
List those out.
Slow return on investments, easier to tarnish brand name, and time consuming. The time consuming, I would say, is goes back to needs qualified personnel.
What is exposure to competitors? Something that my last group was high school students. Okay, so why? Why would that be a bad thing? Why would that be a disadvantage of social media marketing? Okay, so if you just put signs out, wouldn't you still be competing against those same people? Why would you advertising online be a disadvantage for exposing your company to your competitors? That's exactly right. The information that you put out there can and will be used against you. Okay. So let's look at the example of even a pre-priced package. You guys been on the solar website and ever found a price for a pre-priced package? Sunelect.com is the only one you ever will. It's part of the reason that I like Sunelect.com, but that's not an installed price. That's a shipped it to you price. The reason you will never find an advertised price is because the last thing that Sun Solar wants to do is show an advertised price and then have Shine Solar undercut them by a few bucks to get that contract. And that's exactly what will happen if you give your competitors too much exposure, too much information about you. We can go on with a lot of other examples, but that's what I wanted you to grasp, that you've got to be careful about what information that you do release to the public in a way that your competitors can access it. Make them work for it. Make them set up a false appointment for you to have to show up and do a demo for them or something like that, for them to get the information about your pricing and your finance packages and these different types of things. Make them really work for it. Otherwise, they'll use it against you. Donnie had a great example of needs qualified personnel. What's that mean? Or any of the online tools. That's not me. I couldn't do this.
Yeah. It was IT related profession for a qualified personnel to do online and then specifically social media marketing.
Like an influencer. Do that. Okay. So having when it goes down to that last of time consuming, also it's going to consume a lot less time if you hire qualified personnel to handle your online marketing, or if you become that qualified personnel. So the return on investment seems to make sense. Why is it easier to tarnish your brand name if you have a large online presence? Pardon? Trolls, sure. So you have this ad on there, and somebody from a competitive company gets on your ad and posts on there like, I know these guys. They were blah, 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 blah. It's a complete lie. They don't know who you are, but they have the ability very, very easily to tarnish a reputation.
Burner account, and you can say whatever you want. It doesn't even come back on you.
Like experience there.
Was that related to the Black Hat marketing?
It's done with Black Hat marketing.
Yeah.
One thing you said. In line there, if you get their price sheet through something like that, that's an antitrust that is up to 5 years prison for employees of the company.
Right. You can't lie in order to get in pricing from the company. That can be considered.
Well, it's antitrust.
Yeah.
You have to actually prove yourself innocent in antitrust.
Really?
So
Interesting.
from other companies, but I was genuinely looking for a solar electric system. I've got all these quotes from different companies, even though I have my.
They give you a quote, an idea of a price. No. Say, I am Joe from somewhere, give me your price sheet. The price sheet is their pricing for everything they're selling.
Oh, okay.
Right. It's internal company information. Right.
It can do things like the general price for lots of like the POS components, the panels, all that stuff. Like what we do now.
Yes.
So it's what they're paying us for individual.
Yeah.
For the components, labor, just like the pricing of everything.
Right. It's basically any document that would be considered a company confidential document. So if you deceive somebody in order to get that confidential document, that can be viewed criminally. You know, I think more of that just goes back to the whole ethics. If you feel you have to lie to somebody in order to get some information, I question what you're doing there. It'll surprise you what people will give you if you're just upfront with them. Like, hey, I work for Sol Invictus, and I'm considering maybe working for another company. You've been right up front with them. No telling what they're going to give you to try to recruit you to come on over. All right, Johnny, we can move on to WOM.
Okay. Word of mouth marketing can be called word of mouth advertising. Word advertising makes me think of an ad campaign. The definition of word of mouth marketing that I like is not an ad campaign. Okay. Happens both online and through face-to-face interaction. So word of mouth marketing has been around before the internet, the online version, so social media marketing. You know, the internet had to be around for a while before we got into social media marketing. I could not find good examples of advantages or disadvantages, but I know there are going to be advantages and disadvantages. Anybody can think of any advantages, disadvantages of word of mouth marketing?
Well, the advantage, like I like to think, that the best form of marketing to today's market is like the best thing that can happen to a company is for it to go viral.
Sure.
And it takes the best of being like that online marketing, word of mouth, and then puts it together because you're seeing things and then you're talking to your friends about it, and then it just globally spreads.
So what would be an advantage over that situation from a paid advertising campaign that globally spreads?
You don't
There you go. Word of mouth advertising, the biggest advantage is cost. It's almost always cheaper to have word of mouth advertising campaigns. Are they free? Very rarely that it's free because either you had to spend time or resources to start the chain. Okay, and that's why we use the word they're cheaper. I love word of mouth advertising with all of my companies, but it wasn't free. I would go do a demonstration for Stephen. He didn't buy anything from me, and now I buy him. I bribe him to be my marketing agent. Stephen, I need you to find 4 other people to tell about my company, and I'm going to take you and your wife to Red Lobster for a $20 gift card. Now, that $20 spent, number one, is targeted marketing. Okay. The reason being is he knows that I'm only interested in homeowners, and I can tell him the conditions of this gift card to Red Lobster are you have to find me 4 married couples that own their home, that one of them is gainfully employed or comfortably retired. My $20 went in. In the end, I had $5 per qualified appointment that I went and then saw. I wish that I could spend $5 online and turn that into a qualified appointment. Holy crap, would I be rich? We can't. The reality is probably closer to $75 per qualified appointment that's generated online. And those numbers are going to change based on your area, how good is your professional that you hire, okay? You know, how influential is your influencer? That word of mouth, I still feel, is almost always going to be the cheapest method for getting a local advertising campaign happening. Right. What would a disadvantage of a word of mouth advertising be? Man, it can go bad really fast.
I roll the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be slow to get going. Have a long long startup time before the chain actually starts rolling.
Yes, yeah. So I like to say that if there's a 9-to-1 ratio, you have to keep 9 people happy for every 1 unhappy person if you plan on operating on word of mouth advertising. Because I guarantee you, if I make you upset enough, you will tell 10 people how upset you are. It's very rare that I can make you happy enough to tell 10 people how happy you are. The reason being is that we all have things we bought money on. Every day we go through a series of things that are basically neutral. Okay, the things that really stick out to us are the extremely negative or the extremely positive, and we tend to hold on to the negative longer than we hold on to the positive. So you upset one customer, you treat one customer poorly, and they will tell 10 other people. I mean, you're going to have to positively influence 9 people for every 1 person that you negatively influence. Whereas with an online, they're only going to see what you wanted them to see. They're going to have to spend time to find out anything more about you. And so you do control what they get exposed to.
I would say that I'm currently listening to an audiobook called Brains on Fire, and they phrase it word of mouth movement instead of word of mouth marketing. So if anybody is interested in word of mouth, learning more about word of mouth marketing, I would recommend that book.
What's the
Brains on Fire.
brain?
I'm listening to it on Audible. I don't know if any other. Sure, you can find a print version if you're a strong reader. I'm not a strong reader, so that's why I'm listening to it. All right, this is a good stopping point. But if we want to keep, I have 4 more slides. If we want to keep going,
Let's look at the slides and see if they've got questions. Just pull it up and see if there's questions on any of those in particular, because I know that those we talk about a little bit more frequently in this class.
world energy supply and demand. So the last 4 slides are market considerations.
Questions on that, guys? No? All right, go ahead and go to the next one. That's why would Donnie build in 4 slides he didn't have to use?
We don't have questions.
There you go. If we didn't have questions and he talks too fast, his assignment was to use an hour of the time. Okay? And that's an advantage for you guys whenever you get to the level of giving presentations to groups of people that you don't know all that well. You don't know if you're going to have an Andrew in the audience and he'll ask an hour worth of questions, or if you're going to have like nobody that's going to ask any questions. So one of the ways to control your length of time is to have 4 or more, have extra slides at the end that you don't need. If you want to cut it out, you can go directly to your final. Questions on this one?
And
Missouri.
yeah. This one and the next one is Missouri specifically. That's why, like you're wanting to stay local. Connor's wanting to stay local. I don't know how far away you're wanting to go, and it seems like Stephen is wanting to stay in Missouri.
Earlier in the year, he asked my high school students, and one of the high school students was tuning in via Zoom, and she's like, she finally clicked her microphone on so we could hear her, and she's like, I don't even want to stay in the country.
I understand that answer. I understand that. So this one, the main point I want to make is my original assumption is that Missouri had no fossil fuel production whatsoever. Slightly mistaken, but like production of coal, production of crude oil, no data for natural gas, but those are minuscule amounts compared to the consumption. And this is the most recent data that I could find.
All right, what's your next one?
All right. Missouri Comprehensive State Energy Plan. So 2015, Missouri Division of Energy is who published it, formerly under the Department of Economic Development, now under the Department of Natural Resources. Going through it, what caught my eye was Chapter 6, applicable to this presentation, energy and the environment. And my summary of, I don't even remember how many pages this was, but my summary of it is, yeah, renewable energy is really good for the environment. And I was like, okay, let's do it. That's my summary. Okay, yeah, this is a document from a Missouri agency, the state agency, and I was like, okay, yeah. All right, and just applicable who the people that are wanting to stay local, renewable energy. In rural parts of the Midwest, would it be advantageous to frame discussions about renewable energy and sustainability in terms of economic benefits? We got into that with the LOHAS report that would be, if you can find your conventionals, and we probably have a lot of rural parts of Midwest, a lot of conventionals don't want to spend your time marketing to unconcerns. So I don't know how many of you know, Roy Blunt secured the funding for this building. And I don't want to get too awfully political, but there's the tendency that there's a certain political party that likes renewable energy more, or there's perception that there's one political party that likes renewable energy a lot more, or promotes renewable energy a lot more than the other. And he is not of that political party. So my thought process was, okay, if we know the reasoning behind why he secured the funding, that could influence a marketing strategy. Okay, well, might be some people around here that are of this, or at least in Missouri, that are of the same mindset. That probably that gets into economic benefits. Politically controversial are nonpartisan discussions about renewable energy policy, specifically the policy possible. But I think the comprehensive state energy plan talks about policy, and it's rare.
It is rare.
It's
Right.
rare.
And I'm being sarcastic. I mean, definitely you can get people on both sides of the political spectrum to discuss it, but getting much common ground, it almost always comes back to, like you said, the economics, not the environmental concerns, at least in our part of the world.
And then I think this has already been something that was said in class, that Missouri's renewable portfolio standard does not apply to rural electric cooperatives. And just my curiosity is for like the electric vehicle argument of, and this is older information. There's a guy that said, well, electric vehicle is just a coal-powered car because a lot of the grid is from coal power. But as the grid gets cleaner, then that is not outdated, irrelevant, an irrelevant argument. So with Liberty Utilities, Empire District wind farms, I can't find any of this information online. It might be somewhere. New percentage of renewable this. What is our current local percentage? Yeah, local grid. What is the new percentage after they have the wind farms done? All right.
Any more questions for Don? All right, for the remainder of our time, we need to figure out the electrical specifications for the two Liberty Utilities interconnection agreements, 2002 and 2005 solar capital house. Were you able to figure out which one of these panels? This one right here? You want farther back here? Okay, all right. So you got the specification of it. Okay, awesome. All right. And have you did you go out and count how many in a series that we had? Okay. I just didn't know if you could get an angle from your phone to get a picture that would show how many of those panels in a row.
Look like 12 by 3.
12 long. Okay. So your numbers should be able to show 12 of those in series based on those steps, those numbers. You guys have a little bit easier because the other guys, we still have to figure out which ones we're putting in series and everything. Yeah. Kobe's like, a little easier. Yeah.
Here, let me stop my Zoom video.
Well done, by the way, Hunter. How smaller solar systems are less profitable.